Welcome everyone to another video. So, you want to try your hand day trading. I'm assuming that based on you entering this video. So here you are, an aspiring day trader. You are at point A, the very start. And this is where you want to be, point Z. And your goal most likely is getting a consistent income from day trading. And even better, a huge income from day trading. This is where I've started as well, and many people do start from this point and with this goal in mind. But the first question is how to even start moving from A and go towards Z and not somewhere else. Well, I would say, and this may be contrary to some other content you may encounter, is there's this point B and you get to that point only if day trading is for you. So in this video we will talk about the path from point A to point B, where we will discuss whether day trading is something for you at all. So this is really important because day trading is a career. It is a business essentially, which will take a lot of time, it will take a lot of effort, and most likely it may take a lot of money before you make it, if you make it. Now, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but it's better you learn about this reality before proceeding further and before spending a bunch of effort on something you just may not want, actually. So what I mean by that is there's this first part. Of this barrier between A and B, and that is, do you actually want day trading or trading in general, or would investing, longer term investing, actually suffice for what you want? Because there is some number of people who can set some money aside every single year and they just want to make the money work for them. Uh, they do not necessarily want to get some huge sums of money in the upcoming couple of years, right? Well, in this case, I would say that long-term investing is a perfect thing for you. And there's this index S&P 500 who is taking 500 most successful companies and putting them all together in one basket. So it is diversified, and historically it had 10.33% yearly return, and let's round it up to 10% to make the calculations easier. And there's a mathematical formula for, if you were to invest every single year uh, an X amount of money and you want to get to Y kind of money, and the average return is, Z, there's a mathematical formula to calculate like how many years would it take to get from X to Y. And in this case, if you can set aside $10,000 every single year, it would take around 25 years uh, to get to $1 million. And at the end of that period, you would have invested $250,000, but you would end up with $1 million. So it's a really nice return. So what I'm saying is if this sounds pretty good for you, and uh, you actually do not want to spend a lot of time by learning about the markets, by learning about the brokerages, about the order execution, etc., etc. You just want to know the basics and you have time. This is the perfect thing for you, and you can stay more into this video to hear what day trading is. But if investing sounds good enough for you, then I highly encourage that you just forget about day trading. All right. Okay, so that was the first barrier from A to B. But then there's another barrier which is much larger. Okay, so let's say what you do not investing would not suffice for what you want, and you actually want to get some larger sums of money in a shorter time frame. Well, that's the allure of day trading, right? And one of the problems here is that the way you hear about day trading is usually from a person you may know or a person on the internet from an ad, from some kind of video, and what they're claiming is that day trading is something that you can do for just an hour a day, and then you can get a lot of money from it and live whatever lifestyle that you want, right? And I'm assuming that you saw those kind of ads because I know for sure that I did. And that is just absolutely not true. Day trading is extremely, extremely hard, and it will take years before you can even start making some consistent profits. And it might take even more to, make it big, make it into a primary source of income. That is an extremely hard task. But I understand the allure, definitely, because you are your own boss and you dictate the terms. When are you going to trade, what are you going to trade, and you are master of your own funds essentially. But it will be a very, very hard journey. So the barrier number two is, if you don't have a few years to dedicate to this, then don't even bother. It most likely will not happen earlier than that. Let me put it this way: there are proprietary trading firms that are made for educating the traders and making money from trading. What they do is, when a new hire comes, they give them 2 years to make it. They don't expect any significant returns or any consistent incomes in that period. And they have all the best support. They have the mentors, the senior traders who are there for decades essentially. They have the best tools. They have the best software that the world has to offer essentially. And still, it is not expected of them to make it in first 2 years. And not only that, but they're working full time on this. And when I say full time, usually it will also be overtime, right? 12 hours a day, even more. So just think about that. Here they are with the best support and with full-time dedication, and they have to give it 2 years. But on the other hand, here are we, or you, and we don't have the best support. Yes, we can get some pretty good tools, software, we can pay for it, the broker, etc. We can learn from some courses or videos. There's a lot of free educational videos out there, so I highly encourage that. There's absolutely, especially for starters, there's no need to pay for the courses. There's a lot of educational video already free and available. um, but that is the extent that you get. You're not getting support from senior traders that are working for 10 years straight and making 8 figures a year. um, and you want to make it in what, 6 months? Well, that's, now there are some outliers in every area, but that is very, very, very unlikely. So that's barrier number two. If you don't have a few years of almost full-time dedication to this, please don't consider day trading anymore, because it will not be feasible that way. All right, so that was barrier number two. Now, if you still want to try your hand at day trading, you can set aside a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you still want that goal, which is more shorter term profits. Good for you. And let's now talk about the next set of barriers. Well, besides the time that you will have to spend, you will have to dive deep into your own psychology. Because when we talk about investing, it can be a value investing. It can be a fundamental analysis where you are considering how good of a company is a certain stock or a certain company. How good are the financials? How are they doing compared to their competitors, etc., etc. And then you can make some prediction, and in 10 years' time, you can uh, you can see where you are. But when it comes to trading, you are basically playing on shorter term movements, and there will be a lot of losses. And you have to modify your thinking patterns, your behavior, your attitude towards losing, both losing money or losing in general, if you ever want to succeed, because losing is an integral part of this career. Period. There's just nothing to add to that. You will have to lose a lot. You will have to lose a lot of money. You will have to lose on a lot of trades. No matter how good your strategy is, if you don't accept that, if you don't grasp that concept, you will not make it. And this is just the start. This barrier, this third barrier, is in general talking about, are you ready to really, really dive deep into your thinking patterns, into your emotional reactions, into your behavior in general, attitude towards losing, attitude towards learning, patience, etc. It's a really, really tough thing. So if you cannot, get across that barrier, if you cannot reflect, if you cannot accept your mistakes and improve upon them, if you don't have that growth mindset, then again, day trading will be very, very hard for you. Okay? All right. So I would say that, if you can also um, get across this barrier, then you are pretty close to point B where you can start. Now, of course, there are more barriers. You have to be willing to learn a lot, but that's not so big of a deal because, I'm assuming that seeing as you are new to this, most likely, or on the journey to this, you already know that you will have to learn. But, these three are definitely the biggest hurdles. you know do you really want this goal that day trading can offer, or longer term goals are fine? That was the first one. The second one was, do you have the time to spend for this, and the effort, of course. But that's, if you put in the time, I'm assuming that it will be a lot of effort along with it. Do you have that patience to wait for 3 years for something to happen to? And then third thing is sort of also tied to the second thing. Can you fail all the time? Can you consistently fail for a few years and still come back at it? And can you improve upon your mistakes? Can you be reflective? Can you dive deep into your psyche? Can you analyze your emotions? Can you control them? Or at least can you work on controlling them? Can you accept that kind of thing? And that is the kind of development that you will definitely need for trading to work. Okay, so congrats. If you came to this part of the video, then you consider yourself an inspiring day trader who can get to point B. And in the next video, we will talk about the next path, right? Like how to move from point B now that you know that this is actually what you want and this is for you. You can try to make it. We will talk about where to start, how to set this up. We'll talk about what kind of instruments you may be trading. Do you want day trading or perhaps swing trading? What kind of time frames can you trade that your job allows or lifestyle allows, etc. And then we'll talk about brokers, etc., etc. So stay tuned for more.